Hey Moon lovers, welcome to episode 11 of All Things Moon, Lunar Wisdom for Everyday Life with myself, Kelly Jones. And what a week it has been. So I think what we will be beginning with today is the post fallout from the solar eclipse that we had on Monday evening. And as if you've been listening to my previous episodes, you know that at 20 past 7 UK time on Monday evening, we had a total solar eclipse of the sun in the sign of Aries at the same time as a complete conjunction with the planetoid or asteroid Chiron, who is best known as a wounded healer, but also, more than anything, Chiron is the teacher or the mentor of heroes. And bringing all those things together, I believe that some of us would have been tested out. And, there are some people out there who absolutely had no idea that any of it was going on. So I'm imagining that anything strange that's happened in their week, they'll be trying to work out why it's happening to them. But I found myself at OC Park, where my mum's caravan is, where they've built a new studio. And I was starting my first Pilates class in 5 years. So I've been teaching Pilates on a private one-to-one basis for the past 5 years, but actually in a class situation, it's my first time in 5 years. So I was a little nervous, but I was very pleasantly surprised to find that I'm still really great at what I do, and I really enjoyed it. And so I found myself there a little early. I arrived early because, knowing that Mercury is currently retrograde, to avoid any hold-ups or mishaps, I got myself there nice and early, and I just was having a nice walk around by the sea as the eclipse was occurring. It was around about 4 minutes that the actual eclipse was happening for. And I really did notice that the weather changed almost instantaneously as that happened. So immediately after the eclipse had happened, the sky went dark and the rain came and the wind. So it was howling wind and pouring rain. And I sat there in this lovely little brand new studio waiting for my first students to arrive, and at 8:05 no one was there, and I thought, oh well, maybe I'm not having a rebirth as a Pilates teacher this week. But just about 1 minute later, 3 ladies turned up, and I had a really great class, and it was really enjoyable. And after that, on the Tuesday, so, even when we know this stuff, we sometimes don't make the wisest decisions. So even though I know all of this stuff and I've been telling you all about it, in my wisdom, I thought it would be a good idea to take one of my cats, Indy, to the vets to get a blood test for her so I could check out what was going on with her. And the vet that I would have chosen to take her to was on holiday for 2 weeks. So I decided to book in with a veterinary surgery that's actually only about 2 minutes away from my house, which would hopefully make it less stressful and easier to get there, so no travel mishaps. And my first appointment at 9:30, I had to go and move my car a little nearer to my house, so it made it less stressful to take my cat in a box to the car. And as I walked towards my car, there was a queue of traffic coming out of the end of the road where my car was parked, which is a cul-de-sac. And there was a car transporter trying to turn round because part of the road outside my house here was shut. So there we go. First Mercury trickster travel plans going wrong. And then I came in and thought, well, I will get her in the box anyway. And of course, my cat by then had realised, she's very intelligent, she'd realised what was about to happen. And she'd placed herself strategically underneath my king-size iron bed that I can't move. So I couldn't get to her. So the first appointment I had to actually cancel and rebook for later on in the day, which I did manage to get her there. But she was really, really, really stressed out by it. And ultimately what happened is she would not let them give her a blood test. So I ended up bringing her back home with nothing achieved whatsoever, and realizing that maybe I should have thought it through a little better to take my cat to the vets the morning after a total eclipse of the sun in Aries, with the Mercury retrograde, the day before Mars and Saturn conjuncted together, the two malefics, which, as I have mentioned before, Mars and Saturn together is like trying to drive down the road with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. And that literally is what my day was like. So, and then in the evening, we had a knock at the door when we were eating our dinner, and it was one of our neighbours telling us that for the first time ever in her life, she'd never hit a car before, but she'd just hit Tom's van. So we've had to deal with that this week as well, because he couldn't get his driver door open. It was stuck where she'd hit his car. So, these things happen, but we did remain calm throughout that situation because, it was no surprise to us that something like that would happen. So post eclipse fallout. I'm really keen to hear from anybody out there who might be listening to this as to any experiences that you might have had this week, and remembering that it's not always immediate. We would have been feeling the build up towards this, and we will feel the fallout afterwards for a considerable amount of time. But for myself, as we know, it's really about a restart and a rebirth. And also, I checked out where the moon was on Tuesday, because the moon, as we know, was in Aries on Monday, but on Tuesday it had moved into Taurus. And my cats are both Taurus, stubborn with horns. And I could see that the moon in Taurus was actually square to the planet Pluto, which is in Aquarius right now. So Taurus square Pluto. That would suggest that taking Indy to the vets on that day was going to be challenging. So I really should have checked in. Also this week, there has been, on Thursday, I attended a celebration of the life of my friend Marion. And myself, Marion, Brian and Dan, quite a few years ago, we set up the Rucksack Project in Chelmsford, which was a project to help rough sleepers and homeless people. And that continues on and is now known as the Call to Be Kind Project, which is just about to get official charity status. But in the past 2 years, we have lost Brian and now we've lost Marion. So there's just two of us. So myself and Dan and some other people who loved Marion celebrated her life on Thursday. And during that day there, I had a good rethink about restarting my role in Call to Be Kind, because I stepped out of there when my life had become quite traumatic. And when I went to go back, I realised that the whole structure of things have changed, and I wasn't sure what my role would be. So we're going to get together and have a rethink on that. So again, Mercury retrograde isn't all bad. And so this is a really good time to redo things, to review things, restart, and, have a little think around what you could do differently or better than you did before. Also, today, the moon is entering Cancer, but as the moon is leaving Gemini, it's been squaring the planet Neptune, which is in Pisces. And, what I've got written down here is it can be difficult to focus, and you may feel drained pretty easily, and slow down and give yourself some time to recharge. So today I really have been feeling that. I've actually taken some of my own homemade rosemary tincture to help me focus. I made myself some cacao with some supercharged mushroom supplement in it as well to, help me with focusing on things I have to do today. And so I'm finally getting this podcast done, and then I am going to go and organise what I'm going to be taking with me to Italy on the 23rd. And I am going to get a proper chance to give myself time to slow down and to recharge. So the moon is entering Cancer this weekend, and on Monday we will find ourselves in the first quarter moon phase in Cancer. Now, I have talked about this before, but the first quarter moon phase is the time that we might sort of come across our first sort of, roadblock or obstacle in the way when we want to get on with the intentions that we've set ourselves at a new moon. And bearing in mind everything I've told you already about the fact that, we really want to get on with things. We've got that sort of feeling of wanting to start something new, and with the Jupiter Uranus conjunction coming up, we're very, very likely to have amazing creative ideas. And so my camera is also telling me again that it doesn't want to film me today, so I really am going to have to sort out my storage on my phone, which I thought I had done, but I obviously haven't. So we'll forget about that, and I shall just carry on talking to you. So first quarter moon phase, it's when the moon is starting to wax, which is the waxing crescent moon, is when it's starting to get bigger, when it's completely disappeared and it starts to reappear again. And it's a time of growth, energy, and manifestation, often seen as a time to take action and make progress towards your goals. And it's also time to evaluate or reevaluate your intentions and determine if any adjustments are needed. Because of it being in the sign of Cancer, we need to maybe trust our intuition, tap into that. We might feel a bit more emotional and sensitive around this subject. So if you're feeling that way at all on Monday, then, don't sort of beat yourself up at all. Give yourself some self-love. Whatever you're doing, it's okay. And beating ourselves up and berating ourselves for not being able to get on with something as well as we wished we could is not going to help us if we don't feel good about ourselves. So, sit down, give yourself some time to breathe, and maybe do some journaling around what's maybe in your way, and just give yourself some time for those obstacles to maybe use that Mars Saturn energy that we've just experienced to have that more mature, action orientated way of doing things. Mercury being retrograde gives us a chance to prepare for the action and change. And, Saturn gives us some wisdom and Mars gives us some courage to go forwards. So things coming up, things to tell you about that are coming up. On the 19th, the Sun will be moving into the sign of Taurus. So it will be Taurus season, and it will be happy birthday to all you Tauruses out there. And Taurus is the earth sign. So we'll be moving out of this fiery sign into a much more grounded season, and it will be a time to improve our feelings of stability and security, and a time to connect to our values, because Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is all to do with our values and to do with being, Taurus and Venus are all about being sensual and indulgent. But on the 20th into the 21st, we have got this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and Jupiter expands whatever it's nearby. So, watch out for overindulgence around that time. And overindulgence in a shocking way is likely, so if you see somebody eating all of the cake, just forgive them, because that is likely to happen, especially if you are Taurus. Forgive yourself. So this Jupiter conjunction is probably the hugest transit of the year, even bigger than this eclipse that we've just had. And it can bring, because it's with Uranus, it can bring up feelings of, you could feel extra independent. You could have extraordinarily innovative ideas or unconventional ways of solving things. You could feel braver, and you could really feel that it's a time to push outside your comfort zone, to get out of the rut that you might find yourself in, and focus will be easier. To open your future wide up for yourself, because Jupiter is expansion. Uranus is future. So your future could open wide up for you. Jupiter will, after that, then be moving into the air sign. So in May, so in another month's time, you will find that Jupiter will be moving into the sign of Gemini, into an air sign, which will also feel a little lighter as well, because obviously with it being in the earth sign, it can increase those feelings of heaviness, and what's the word that I want? Sort of those more intense, deep feelings. So Jupiter in Gemini will feel more auspicious, and as it moves into Gemini, it will be forming an auspicious trine. So trines are always good aspects, and it's forming that with Pluto in Aquarius, another air sign. And so it'll be favouring air-related things like communication, information, social connections. And, Mercury will be moving on the 25th of April this month. So communications will become easier between the 25th of this month going into May. We're going to be able to communicate those amazing ideas and put them into action much more easily than we will be right now, even though we might be having those ideas now. So it will really be a much more sort of fertile time for exchanging ideas, for networking, and expanding our horizons. And any genius breakthrough ideas that you have around this time can be, discussed with whoever you want to discuss it with and put into action in the coming month or so. Jupiter and Uranus meeting together. It's a cycle that happens once every 14 years. So they won't be meeting again now after this conjunction on the 20th until 2037. In its best expression, so in its highest expression, when Jupiter and Uranus meet, it's linked to growth and the awakening of things. It uses, it's combining Uranus's idealistic aspirations with Jupiter's optimism, offering possibilities for progress, regardless of the initial situation, which is, now if we look at the initial situation, it doesn't feel that expansive, does it? But both planets will be pushing boundaries, literally and metaphorically, in its more challenging expression. So, we always have a choice in this as to how we apply it, how we utilize these energies. And if we get ourselves stuck in the more sort of negative and we see it as a challenge, then that's what we are more likely to experience. So its more challenging expression can sort of amplify extremist things, extremist movements, explosive, unpredictable and chaotic situations. And we may see that in the greater scheme of things out in the world. We were likely to see both of things playing out. But what we pay attention to is, where we're going to see growth. So really if we're seeing those more extremist, chaotic, unpredictable things happening, try not to feed them with your thoughts and your energy and your time. And really look for the progress, look for the optimism, look for the more idealistic aspirations that are out there. Because they are out there. There's always both if we go and seek it. And as my advice always is to take a moment to stop and notice. Notice how you feel. Stop and breathe. Get outside. We've had some beautiful weather in the past few days since that big eclipse sort of, cleared out the rain and brought in some sun and some warmer weather here in the UK. So whenever Jupiter and Uranus meet, we can expect to feel a surge of intuitive hunches and the desire to create a new reality for ourselves. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about, we've both Tom and myself have found ourselves doing quite a few gong baths recently. And my gong is actually the Uranus gong, and it's quite a small gong at 24 inches. But the Uranus gong would be used to give a sense of freedom. It helps you to have a sense of originality and innovation. It's associated with the colour orange, which is the sacral chakra, which is our creative chakra. It's associated with Aquarius, who have genius ideas. Working with the Uranus gong gives a sense of spontaneity, perhaps even an inner revolution. It may result in life changes and new adventures and discoveries, and could provide a new perspective on an issue, give insight and clarity and realization. It can allow you to step into the unknown, like the Fool in the tarot card, taking the jump and the leap of faith, which is in itself quite Aries, and we're still in that Aries energy at the moment. Having creative focus, it can assist us to think outside the box. And working with this gong can help anyone who's stagnating, playing it too safe in situations which will no longer support our growth. Uranus ultimately brings change, even if those changes are unexpected, and acceptance of the new that these changes will bring. So if you are intrigued and would like to experience one of our gong bars, the next one we have is on the weekend of the 20th and 21st of this month. And we're going to be doing a sound healing on the Sunday morning at Green Oaks Festival in Ely and Cambridge. The basis of that festival is pagan, but you don't have to be pagan to go. It's just celebrating Earth Day. And it's also around the time or the weekend of this big Jupiter and Uranus conjunction. So, take a look at that. You will find the details for that somewhere in my socials, or send me a message and I'll send you the link. And only other things to tell you about that are coming up now before I sign off is the next full moon will be in Scorpio on the 24th of April, deep, dark, intense Scorpio. I won't be holding a full moon ceremony because I will be having time out in Italy when that is happening. And also, as I said before, the Mercury retrograde comes to an end while I'm away. So hopefully that won't give me any hold-ups. So they're things that we've got coming up. So my next new moon ceremony, where I will actually be back online holding space and filling you in on the next exciting things coming up, will be on the 7th of May. So that's the next new moon ceremony, and that will be obviously a new moon in Taurus, because we will have entered Taurus season by then. And if you wanted to come and do something in person with me in May, and lots of other amazing women who do all kinds of wonderful healing modalities and all different things, then there is the Yoga Wild Woman Retreat going on the 10th till the 12th of May. That's in Southminster. And again, just check out my social media or my website, send me a message, and I will let you know about any of those things that are coming up. So I'd love to hear from you, any questions that you've got. And remember, as I've said before, I am accepting donations on my Ko-fi site. So you can donate on my Ko-fi site, and I will do you a little mini birth chart reading, because I'm practicing for my certification as a professional astrologer. So you will find me at All Things Moon Kelly on Instagram. My website is kellyjones.me, and I wish you a wonderful next couple of weeks until I speak to you again. And hopefully I'll be lovely and rested, and we'll have had some Italian sunshine and lots of good food, and lots of blessings to you. And I will speak to you all again real soon.